The 2026 Liga MX Apertura season is in full swing. A year ago, the winners of the 2025 Apertura season were Toluca, who defeated Tigres in a dramatic penalty kick shootout. But in the most recent season, the 2026 Clausura season, the winners were Cruz Azul, who defeated Pumas 2-1 on aggregate in the final. So let's dive into all things Liga MX with our CBS Sports Mexican football correspondent, Felipe Cardenas. Felipe, the new season started in mid-July, so we're a couple games into the new season, but what's maybe one or two really big storylines that we should really be following this season?
I think one of the big stories is Chivas, one of the biggest brands in Mexico, one of the biggest brands in North America. And I think they're playing some really good soccer under Gabriel Milito. If anyone watched the game against LAFC, that was a big game in Leagues Cup. And you saw the type of style they play. It's organized chaos. They really do really well covering space. They press, they counter press, and they play really fast, really direct under Gabriel Milito. That has been his style since he was at Argentino Juniors. He's brought us to Mexico. And I think the big story here is that there hasn't been a coach since Matias Almeyda at Chivas, who won the league and won Concacaf Champions Cup for them in 2018, that has been in that seat longer than Matias Almeyda up until Gabriel Milito. So now the pressure is on him to win trophies. And it's a different type of pressure. It's not pressure about playing well or being in the top table. No, it's about winning. So this is the type of situation where if Chivas, let's say, gets to Liguilla and loses in the semifinal, that could be viewed as a failure. It's time to win trophies for Chivas.
Felipe, first of all, it's fantastic to see you during the World Cup. My question is kind of big picture post-World Cup. We've seen the effect that these tournaments can have on host nations. What's been the effect you've seen so far on Mexican football following this World Cup?
I think it's just attention. It's the same thing that MLS wants, right? They want more eyes. And I think that if there's one league in the U.S. that has had the most eyes on them for over a decade, if not more, it's Liga MX. And so the big push for them is to go beyond the borders that they've already conquered. Obviously, North America is where they make a lot of money. They come here, they play friendlies, they're playing Leagues Cup. And when you get the right matchup, you can see a stadium really light up in the U.S. when there's a Mexican side. They want to compete globally. There's still pushes in Mexico and still chatter about how do we get back to the Copa Libertadores? How do we play European sides? And so they see the NFL as sort of their target. Like, how do we become that? How do we become that in North America where we're part of this push to globalize the brand? So far, that's what the execs are saying. The football and the product needs to improve as well, though.
Part of that globalization will be the big clubs like Club América. Now, Guido Pizarro has departed. What is the future looking like for Club América at this point?
For Tigres? Or Club América?
Sorry, for Tigres. I looked at the note and looked back. Yeah, for Tigres. I apologize.
For Tigres, yeah. I mean, listen, I think this is a big, they're in a moment of big transformation. Guido Pizarro, who went from player to coach, almost as abruptly as he left a week ago. That was a player who was big for them. He steps in, coaches, they do okay, they lose in Liguilla, and then he's out. And so aside from that, Andre Pierre Gignac, probably the best player the club has ever had and the best international signing in Liga MX, he's gone. His contract ends. So who's going to coach this team and who's going to be the new leader? Jaime Lozano, Juan Carlos Osorio, the former Mexican manager, the Colombian-born Mexican manager. He's desperate to work. He even told reporters, I will work for Nestor Lorenzo's Colombia staff for minimum wage. So that guy wants a job. But there are two names I think that Tigres is looking at more closely. That's Nicolas Larcamón, the former Cruz Azul coach, and then Diego Alonso, who coached Uruguay at the World Cup 4 years ago, and then had a lot of success with Monterrey. So Tigres right now, they also lose their president, by the way, who's now the president of soccer at Atlanta United. So a lot of changes happening at Tigres. They need to get their leadership structure back together.
So while they are trying to figure out their coaching situation at Tigres, Monterrey, they recently hired Matias Almeyda, who you already mentioned, because of all the success that he had at Chivas. Monterrey is a team that has been chasing after success for quite some time now. So what better person to bring than a guy who knows how to win in this league? What are the expectations down in Mexico for Matias and this Monterrey side?
Yeah, it's two parts. I think it's the second chance for Matias Almeyda. You know, the job at Sevilla ended horribly. He gets there, he gets a 4-1 win over Barcelona, and it's a big moment for him, big moment for the club. And then he's suspended 7 games for improper behavior towards a referee, and he never recovered. They dismissed him later after that. And so coming back to Mexico, where, as you mentioned, Claudia, this is where he had the most success as a coach, winning the league and the Concacaf Champions Cup with Chivas, bringing back that brand. Now he's been tasked with doing the same thing with Monterrey, a team that has a lot of money, millions of dollars flowing into that starting 11 and that bench, a deep side, a very talented side. And again, just like I said with Chivas, it's time to win. You know, this is a team that you always expect to be battling for a league title, to be in Liguilla, to be at the top of the table. They have folded and really disappointed over the last few years. If there's one guy that can do it, they look at Matias Almeyda as trying to do it. And he's still, if FYI, still bringing the man-marking system to Liga MX.
All right, now, Felipe, we know your knowledge base is unmatched. Give me some players to watch for Liga MX right now. I know you got a list for us.
Okay, I mean, there are a few players like that are coming back, right? Like, I think if we start with Gilberto Mora, the young player, the young 17-year-old with Club Tijuana, you know, I saw him up close twice in Mexico during the World Cup. He is a player that you should tune in to watch. He is as good as advertised. He does not shy away from anything ever in terms of challenges, responsibilities, and so he's the type of player that you just want to see. Mono Martinez over to the left, right next to Gilberto Mora, Juan Carlos Martinez for Querétaro, another 16 years old, playing in the same position as Gilberto Mora. Club is really, really high on him, and he's already compared to Gilberto Mora, a central midfielder, a number 10, really slick on the ball and getting a lot of good experience with Club Querétaro right now. And then Club America, you mentioned it before, Aaron. You mentioned before. Now we're back to Club America. They've made some of this 2 interesting signings. One, Edwin Cerrillo, who Tom Bogart broke that story, coming from LA Galaxy, a holding midfielder. I've always liked him, very athletic, clean on the ball. You know, can he compete for a starting spot in a crowded team like Club America? And then they go younger. Typically, Club America likes to bring in veterans, international stars, and instead they brought in a 20-year-old from Colombia. Oscar Perea was a big part of the Colombia U20 team that finished 3rd at last year's U20 World Cup. Comes from Atlético Nacional, had a couple stints with Strasbourg, an experienced young player that dribbles, can play up front. A nice addition, I think, to Club America's side.
Well, Felipe, we appreciate all the insight, all the analysis. Obviously, Leagues Cup will continue for a while longer. Liga MX is truly just getting started, so we appreciate you joining us today.
Appreciate you, brother.
See you soon, guys.
Well, don't forget, as I mentioned, Leagues Cup continues, but so does Liga MX, and we have several matches here on the CBS Sports family of networks. So on August 29th, at the end of this month, we do have Santos Laguna, who are taking on Tigres. Then in September, we do have a doubleheader that starts with Pumas taking on Club León, followed by Cruz Azul, who are taking on Santos Laguna. So you can catch that all on the Golazo Network and CBS Sports Network.